Glad to have you join us on Business Incorporated. I am BC Adebayo. Coming up on today's show, MTN holds local and international investment bankers, analysts to close-the-door briefing in Lagos. And the IMF and the World Bank discuss the role of technology in Africa's digital economy. Plus, Kenya's sugar production expected to jump by up to 19% in 2018. We'll begin with how the stock markets here in Africa are performing at intraday. And here in Nigeria, the all-share index is in the red, down 0.20%. The GSA index is 0.06% positive, while Egypt closed up 0.42% on Thursday. Kenya also ended Thursday's session 0.63% lower. Well, the Gulf markets are closed for the week, but largely positive on Thursday. Abu Dhabi's index closed 0.5% up, and Dubai's index finished 0.18% down as the Dubai Islamic Bank fell 2%. The Qatari index rose by 1.6%, driven by a 5.1% climb in QNB after shareholders approved the previously proposed increase of its non-Qatari ownership limit to 49% from 25%, and a rise in the amount a single investor can own to 5% from 2%. Saudi Arabia's stock market also surged on Thursday, finishing in positive territory for a sixth straight day. Saudi stocks have been gathering momentum in recent months as investors anticipate foreign funding flows when the kingdom joins emerging market indexes. And in Europe, the market edged higher Friday morning as investors monitored a fresh batch of corporate earnings and economic data. Well, let's talk to Daniel Koop one more time this week. He's at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange.
Yes, one more time. Hi there, BZ. Hope you're doing fine. Let me actually, before we start our normal conversation with the breaking news stories we are following here on the trading floor. We have talked about this this week following a series of raids at the luxury German car maker Porsche this week. A manager from the Stuttgart-based firm has been taken today into detention. Various German media outlets are reporting that we are talking now about Jörg Kerner. He's the head of the powertrain development. And we are hearing that the manager was on the way to work when he received a call from a family member that his house was being raided by police. Apparently, then he turned around and raced home, but his sudden change in destination made investigators think he was attempting to flee, thereby prompting them, we have to say, to take him into custody. This is giving the Dieselgate scandal another level now. Many have complained in the past that only lower-ranked managers or employees had to face those charges, but that never top managers were held responsible. In this case, we have to say, of course, now very different. Porsche has only stated so far to employees that they're doing everything to clear up the facts, and that, of course, as soon as possible.
Well, thanks for that information, Daniel. Now, oil prices have remained near three-year highs, even as OPEC meets in Saudi Arabia. What is the key message from this meeting?
Yeah, the big question is, of course, in which direction the oil price is really going to be. And when you talk to investors here on the trading floor, they are pretty much sure that the oil price will follow the trend we have seen happening, and that is just one direction: going up. And that gives investors here, at least on the equity markets, quite some headache. Very fast rising commodity prices make investors more worried about higher interest rates and more interest rates hikes, mostly in the United States. One investor told me earlier that with an even higher oil price, the Fed in the US could increase their interest rates higher and even faster than expected. Higher interest rates, we are remembering, are not famous among investors at all. Those fears some months ago even led to a correction on Wall Street by that time. Investors feel that with higher interest rates, traditional stocks and equities are not anymore that interesting, and that the market therefore could have less liquidity. And investors even feel that the very high oil price could have a negative effect on the worldwide economy. I know when we talk about Nigeria, this is certainly, of course, a different scenario. Nigeria, a country where the oil price, of course, is very, very important. Donald Trump also tweeted again about this issue today, calling all of this, again, as usual, very unfair, and that OPEC is artificially keeping the oil price at this very high level. And it's certainly an indicator how the worldwide economy, and also a very good indicator when investors on the worldwide trading floors are uncertain how a geopolitical situation could actually develop. We have seen lately a very volatile oil price in the ongoing US, Russia and Syria conflict. We have to remember that the oil price, not just for a country like Nigeria, but also for the Russian economy, is extremely crucial. Also in political, rather unstable situations, investors are more focused on those so-called safe haven like gold, Swiss franc, but also oil. In the last days, the situation in Syria has calmed down a bit. Because of that, we have seen also the oil price dropping a bit today. The price of one barrel was at a level of about $73.61. That's about 20 cents less than one day before. So investors are looking, of course, more news from the OPEC meeting taking place in Saudi Arabia, but also if the geopolitical conflicts might be heating up again.
Now, let's talk about this report from Lufthansa, which wants to exchange thousands of its employees with younger ones. Now, they want to become Europe's most digital airline. What's behind this?
Yeah, they want to become, as you just said, the most digitalized airline in the world. When you talk here just about Frankfurt, where the hub of Lufthansa is, about 80,000 employees are working for the airline, which is making Lufthansa the biggest employer here in the state of Hessen, where we are. And yes, many of the employees have been working for decades for the company. Lufthansa has this tradition to keep employees for a very long time. But keeping employees, of course, for a very long time means also that they might have very, very expensive contracts. So now CEO Carsten Spohr, that's at least what we are hearing, is thinking about making them offers to leave the company. It kind of seems to be the case that he is feeling that many of the employees that have been working there for many decades are not anymore the ones who know that much about digitalization. So he wants new people, he wants younger people, and of course probably also having the strategy to pay them a little bit less.
Well, Daniel, just before you head for the weekend, tell us what's on the agenda for next week.
Well, besides the Porsche story, that's certainly going to be a topic also for investors. We have seen here at the market quite some volatility, the trade dispute, the geopolitical tension in Syria, all of that kept investors very busy. Right now, it seems that we'll wrap up the week here at the blue chip index DAX with a plus of about 0.8%, much better actually than we expected. Though we did not get lots of stimulus this week, this is, I can tell you, certainly going to change next week. It's going to be a week with lots of important data and numbers coming in. We are waiting the business climate index here to be released. Also, lots of big companies are set to report their quarterly figures next week. I could name, but that would probably take a couple of minutes now. But Google, Alphabet, Coca-Cola, Twitter, Visa, eBay, PSA, Deutsche Börse. So lots of numbers, and we'll be certainly putting all of them into perspective. Well, actually not me. Konrad is back next week. Thanks for the beautiful week, BZ, and see you again very soon.
It's been a beautiful week with you, Daniel, and enjoy your vacation.